eLTER, Integrated European Long-Term Ecosystem, Critical Zone, and Socio-Ecological Research.
Good morning, everybody. So the agenda for today is to introduce you to the survey that we are running. There will be 3 presentations. Stefan will be presenting first the latest information of the standard observations and why we need the link to the costs from the standard observations. Then Syed will be presenting the online questionnaire, and Alan will be presenting the application that is online and will be for your use. And then in the end, we'll take questions and answers, and we'll collect those questions and answers also in the FAQ document, which will be in your use. And there are several questions already answered, but we expect that there will be much more coming while this webinar is ongoing. So to remind you of the Zoom etiquette, unless you have a question or you have a presentation, keep your microphone muted. And if you have a question, you find the raise your hand place in the bottom bar of your Zoom session. And it would be really handy if you can rename yourself so that we can see the first name and surname and organization. So my name is Jana Beck, and I'm the work package lead of the preparatory phase project that is responsible of the monetary assessment. And this is part of our activities to introduce and help you in getting an idea what the costs are related to eLTER activities. And very briefly, just showing you the structure, how the costs will be divided when we think about the future eLTER activities. So on the left-hand side, you see the central services, the head office and topic centers. This is not what we are going to talk about today. We are focusing on the green part on the right-hand side, which is the facilities, the sites and the platforms that most of you are connected to or running the sites or planning to install site and get it operational. And there are many kinds of costs involved, and this is a table that we have been using in our documents, and there you see that there's quite a lot of roles in the cost items, either being implementation or operation or decommissioning phase. So in a way, we are now providing you tools for assessing these different items of costs, be it space rental or management salaries or external services, or the standard observation scheme that will be run at the site when you select your habitat and your site categories. And for this purpose, we are collecting this information. So I'm handing now over to Stefan and hoping that you are ready to share your screen. Stefan?
Sorry, just got a call from my daughter. She just managed the driving license. So
okay, yeah. Good. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. So what was the so I have to start my presentation now.
Yes,
that was okay. Sorry for that. Yeah, then I will start share screen. Let's see. Okay. So yeah, good morning to everybody. So I have not prepared a very detailed presentation here. So because the eLTER standard observation as such and the concept behind has been presented several times, probably to the most of you. But instead, I would like to briefly, let's say, emphasize once again the most important building blocks, the most important things about the standard observations that form the basis for the cost estimate. Next slide. So almost 3 years ago, we started to define the concept for the standardization and harmonization of the environmental observation in eLTER. So, and at the beginning, we were faced with the task to determine what we want to measure, where and how. And so at the very beginning, we have developed a concept of how we can make a selection of the variables that we aim for to measure. And so then we had the claim of the holistic description of the environment, which is at the very heart of eLTER, and to translate it into the selection of the eLTER standard observations, we use the concept of the ecosystem integrity. The ecosystem integrity is a conceptual framework allowing for a holistic view or perspective on the environment, describing the abiotic environment, the biotic diversity, but also aiming at the closure of several budgets, of the central budgets, the energy budget, the water budget, and the matter budget. And last but not least, so because we are on eLTER, we also have to think about, or had to think about, the socio-economical template. And also there are some variables which are needed to fulfill the criteria of eLTER research. And so based on that concept, we defined 4 guiding principles for the variables we want to aim for. It should be high impact variables, with high sensitivity to system changes. The variables we want to measure should support the site comparison and the clustering of the eLTER sites at the continental scale, for instance. These should be variables which are of high relevance for the modeling purposes. And last but not least, from the very beginning, we defined that one of the most important criteria maybe is the simplicity in the end. So because we are talking about long-term operated infrastructures here, and the more complex a design is we develop, the harder it will be to secure the financial funding or the resources for the long-term operation. So we set up an extensive process of repeated consultations and feedback processes. We had an online discussion forum which was open for everyone within the eLTER community. We started with discussion with eLTER experts, international networks. And so at the very beginning, there was a very long wish list of variables. So I think in the beginning, we had something in the range of 180 variables that have been proposed at the very first stage. So there was the need to consolidate this list. And to do the consolidation, we developed a ranking concept based on the 3 criteria you see here. We ranked the variables according to the scientific relevance, but also having in mind the most typical methods to measure such variables. We ranked them according to the cost efficiency and also the feasibility. When I think about some measurements which need very extensive experience or expertise in operation, like eddy flux covariance measurement, for instance, this is something that will clearly affect the feasibility. And based on these 3 criteria, then we ranked the variables, but also having in mind the method and the protocol we will have in the end to measure the variables. And we had published the interim results of the discussion processes. At the moment, in this, we used the discussion papers. This was the format we used for this communication of the interim results. So at the moment, 2 discussion papers have been published already, and the next version is in preparation and will be published very soon. This will be more or less the agreed selection of, this will include the agreed selection of the standard observations and will also form the basis for a formal decision by the interim council then. As you can see, this is an older slide here. At the version 1, we had 170 variables proposed. So now at the moment, we are in the range of 65. So you see there has been some very significant consolidation regarding this based on the three criteria: scientific impact, cost efficiency, and the feasibility. The next step then was to structure these emerging selection in such a way that it could form the basis for the design of the sites and the platforms. And the aim here was to transfer or to link the ecosystem integrity concept with the Wales perspective. The Wales perspective is arranged across these 5 spheres, and these 5 spheres are in particular relevant when it comes to the categorization of eLTER sites. So because we have the category 2, category 1 logic, and in particular for the category 1 logic, you also have to develop specific focus on top of the basic observation, a specific focus on at least 2 of the 4 natural spheres for sites, but is also the category of the platforms where the socio-econosphere comes into play. We also had to add another layer to the structure, and this was the habitat perspective. So the requirements for the environmental observation are habitat specific. So there are variables that are, for instance, essential for aquatic ecosystems, but are not needed or doesn't make sense to be recorded in forests, for instance. So that's why we developed a classification of the habitats, which can guide us in the design process for eLTER. And so we have agreed on a selection of 9 habitat groups you see here, which formed then the basis for the further specification of, let's say, the minimum requirements for sites and platforms with regard to the standard observations. Again, there was a consultation process to develop these selections, and based on these selections, we had then the opportunity to link the standard observations with the criteria of the site categories. You have probably seen these conceptual sketches here showing very schematically the concept for the eLTER site categories 2 and 1. And when we talk about eLTER site categories, the methods for measuring the standard observations become relevant here. It's not only the perspective on the variable as such, but also on the method. And for most of the variables, we have developed, let's say, 2 levels of intensity for the measurements. One that could represent the gold standard, let's say, of measurement, and another one, which is the basic method, which we call the basic method, which represents a less complex method that would allow the corresponding measurement to be realized with less effort. And to give you a better idea about this idea, here are some examples of the variables. And you see 3 standard observations here: the soil water content, the runoff measurement, the discharge, and a standard observation aiming for the CO2 flux and concentration. And in the 2 columns, you see general descriptions. What is the difference between the basic and the prime method for each of these 3 standard observations here? You see for the soil water content, in the prime, in the gold standard, the measurements should aim for measurements beyond the point scale. Here, the suggestion is that we use cosmic ray Newton sensors. And for the basic method, for instance, the idea is that we provide at least some information on the typical dynamics of soil moisture here, which can be done with some soil moisture sensors in different depths, for instance. And you see the other examples here. I don't want to go into the details here. And last but not least, so I just talked about the basic and the prime method. That means that in the end, it also required decision regarding the measurement methods and the protocols. So again, we set up extensive consultation process. We had experts workshops, and now, and based on that, we developed then initial ideas for the suitable methods for, let's say, the vast majority of the agreed variables or the standard observations. And this in turn then allowed us in the end to derive the cost estimates for each of the standard observations. And these cost estimates, based on the suggestions for the protocols for each of the standard observations formed the basis for the tool that will be presented today. And all this work I've just talked about resulted in two comprehensive tables that were made available to all national networks and to all ELTER site and platform PIs. And I will briefly show you these main tables. So because when you see in a minute this cost tool, I strongly recommend to use these tables in parallel to get some better ideas how to interpret the results of the cost tool you will see in a minute. So that's why let me share my screen again. That is that one. You should see an Excel table now, but that is not the one I wanted to start with. Let's open another one. So the first table I want to show you is the so-called habitat table. And this habitat table is structured in a way that you see here in the first columns the full list of the standard observations, which is agreed now. And then you later on the table, you find several columns describing the 9 habitat groups for the sites, but in the variant also for the platforms. And how you can use this table, just to give you an example, for instance, think about you have a site which is on a heathland. You can simply make a selection here. You say, okay, I want to set up a category 2 heathland site. Show me all basic standard observations that are required here, and then you can filter this table. And what you see here is then the full list of standard observations, which are required to be provided by your site applying the basic method only. The same can be done when you say, okay, I want to upgrade my site to a category 1 site. Then you go in the next column, you have the opportunity.
Stefan, I think we don't see the same table as you. I think that
okay,
at least we don't see where you are pointing to.
Okay. Okay, maybe so I have to do the following. Hopefully now you see a habitat table and you see my cursor now. I do something here. Can you see it?
Yes, we see it.
Okay, yeah, this is what I just talked about without the chance for you to see what I talked about. This is the habitat table. As said in the beginning, we have the several columns showing all the standard observations we have agreed. And then you can check for the different habitat groups. And then you can simply, to stick with this example for the heathland, to say, okay, I want to set up a category 2 site on the heathland. Show me all standard observations that are mandatory to be provided by my site. And then you can make a selection here to say, show me all basic standard observations. And then this list is filtered and you get an overview of all the standard observations that are required to be provided to get the category 2 label for a heathland site. You can do the same thing if you want to develop your site further towards a category 1. There's a second column for each of the habitats. And there you can make a selection to say, okay, show me the prime methods which are required to be provided if my site wants to develop a category 1 perspective. And then following the ELTER design criteria, you just have to check those groups, geosphere or hydrosphere or biosphere, where your site wants to develop a focus on. And for those 2 spheres, in that example, for instance, for the hydrosphere, you get an overview which of the standard observations are required to be provided for the hydrosphere. These are the blue-colored cells here as a prime standard. This is the way how you can make use that for each of the habitat groups. You can check what is required to be provided for my particular habitat. And then there is the second table I want to briefly show, because this contains all the information which forms the basis for the cost tool you will see in a minute. And this is the so-called method cost table. Let me go to the very beginning. The method cost table contains two spreadsheets, method basic, method prime. And again, you see here the full list of the standard observations we have agreed. And for each of the standard observation, both for the basic and the prime, you can now see what type of information we have already collected with your help. So you get information whether it's a retrieval-based standard observation, whether it's a sample-based one, whether it's a model-based one, or a sensor-based one. You get some ideas about the interval of measurements, which is currently under discussion. So I have to say these are the first estimates regarding the method. These estimates were needed to develop the cost estimation in the end. But in February, the work on the development of the final protocol started. And so it can be expected that there will be current updates on that as following the development of the eLTER protocols. For each of the standard observations, we will publish, and the plan is to get ready with that until the end of the year. For each of the standard observations, we will publish a formal protocol containing all the information on the agreed requirements regarding the interval of measurements, regarding the range of the sensors, regarding the proposed protocol, if there is something we want to adapt on. In the method cost tables, you find also some additional remarks which might help you to get an understanding about the effort. But then, and this is very important, in particular when it comes to the costs, for each of the standard observations we have developed with the help of you and many other experts, first cost estimations for the maintenance, for the sampling, for the lab analysis, for the processing of the raw data, and also some indications about the efforts for operation, maintenance, and repair. And depending on the type of standard and observation, you find information about the cost either in terms of euro or in terms of the working years per year. And these numbers you see here have been now transferred by the group of Jana and Alain into the cost tool, which will be presented soon. And you find the same information here, of course, then for the prime methods. This is what I wanted to show you. And hopefully I could give you some preparation for that, what you will see soon. And my recommendation would be to also make, even if we have now a very fancy tool available, these tables are also of use to get a better understanding about how to interpret the results which come from the online tool you will see in a minute. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Stefan. I'm just showing you one additional screen now, which relates to the site categories, because this is also important information. Most of you will know this already before, but to select between the site category 1 and site category 2, this is the matrix we have been using. So many of you have been responding to questionnaires about site categories, planned site categories, or currently implemented. And here you see that both categories we need every sphere, so hydrosphere, geosphere, and so on, to be covered. But the difference is that only in category 1 you need the prime methods for 2 of these spheres. And for the category 2, it's sufficient to have a basic method implemented. This figure we will also provide you as a background material, so you don't need to make a screenshots or anything. It will be in the materials. I think we continue now with the presentation of Syed on the cost survey structure. Syed, are you ready?
Yes, I am. Thank you. Let me share my screen.
And if you have questions targeted to Stefan already now, you can of course put them in the chat and we'll take them and start answering them after the presentations.
Okay, so I'm Saeed Ashraful Alam. I'm working with Yana Bag, especially for the PPP Work Package 4. That's the financial component. So, well, before going to talk about the cost survey, let's have a look on some of the benefits that comes with the cost estimates, and they are especially related with the infrastructure, research infrastructure. So the cost estimates can support stakeholders engagement. How? By providing information on the value of the investment that is needed to establish the RI, or for example, one of its in situ facilities, that is sites and or platforms. It can also help evaluating the long-term sustainability of the RI, especially for the financial planning. It can also provide comprehensive information, especially for the SPF monitoring and evaluation activities. And it also allows country representatives, especially in the interim council meetings, to take proper decisions. It can also help to develop future EU consortium project applications, for example, for Horizon Europe project applications. So the cost survey, it has some purpose. The main purpose of the cost survey is to gather the cost information for both the eLTER sites and LTSCR platforms. The survey itself is divided into two parts. The first one we can call is online questionnaire. I'll show you the questionnaire at the end of the presentation. And the second part is eLTER standard observation cost application. My colleague Alan is here. He will be talking more in detail about that. So here is a structure of the cost survey. If you look on the right-hand panel, you see the cost survey. It has two components. On the left-hand side is online questionnaire. If you see my cursor, I'm hovering here. And this questionnaire, actually, we need the responses from both sites and platforms, both the PIs from both sites and platforms, they need to respond the questionnaire. But the eLTER SO cost application, only the sites PIs will be responding this. So the platforms at this stage, they don't need to respond this SO cost application. So in the questionnaire, actually, we do have a general information. Then it comes with the cost information for three different eLTER life cycle phases. For example, cost coming for implementation cost, then operation cost, and decommissioning cost. But in the cost application, actually, we don't have the decommissioning cost. We're only dealing with the implementation cost and the operation cost. So maybe I will cover some of the points in the next slide. I don't need to read everything from here. So what actually we need to do? So please respond both parts, in the cost survey. The first part, as I mentioned, is the cost questionnaire. So both sites and platforms, again, I'm repeating here. So both sites and platforms, they need to respond this cost questionnaire. But only the sites will be responding to the standard observation cost application. So once you are dealing with the SO cost application, the site PIs actually has to download the results as an Excel file, and this Excel file need to be uploaded as an attachment file while you are dealing with the cost questionnaire. So it is a kind of mandatory. So we have given it highlighted also in the questionnaire. So it must be attached with the questionnaire. So actually, we have provided some supporting documents to make your life easier. So, and all of the files actually we have provided in the open access Google Drive, so anyone can really go to the Google Drive and have a look on that. The first one is the cost survey guide. This is a must-read document. So before you are dealing with the cost questionnaire, please first read the cost survey guide. This can help you really a lot of all the cost components. Yana have shown a very good metrics, but this cost survey guide will tell you in details about that. Then the second one we call is a cost survey FAQ file. Again, to make your life easier, we have already formulated some of the questions. It's a living document. You can come to visit the living document anytime. You can list your questions there. You can read some of the questions that is already provided there with the answers. And you can also add your own questions. So we will try to come back as soon as possible to respond to your questions. The third one is the standard observation discussion paper. It's the eLTER Plus deliverable. Maybe Stefan already covered some of the components from this discussion paper, but for detail, you can also visit this document. The final one is called Site Category Summary. It's a summarized document, I think very recently prepared by Jana Beck. So to make your life easier, so we are the supporting person, I myself and my colleague Alan, so we'll be assisting you. If you have any question with the cost questionnaire, so I'm the person to respond to you. Alan will be talking about or helping you or assisting you, especially with the cost application. So please respond the cost survey by the deadline, that is 10th of May this year, 2024. And please note that, as Jana mentioned, that this we are recording the session. So this recorded audio video actually will be provided through the eLTER YouTube channel. So thank you very much, but I will be still continuing with the brief demonstration of the online questionnaire. So maybe I will switch on here. And can you see my screen now? If you please confirm.
Yes, we can.
Thank you. So this is the online questionnaire. That's actually I talked about that. So actually, in the beginning, we have provided the structure of this survey. Please read it carefully. And then actually, here we also highlighted here for sites. So actually, you will be in this section, you know, that you have to really first, those are the site PIs. You have to better you deal with the cost application first. Then you download the results in an Excel file. Then after that, actually, you can deal with the cost questionnaire. But the platforms, PIs, they don't need to deal with the SO cost application. And maybe this point I'll cover a little bit later, then it will be more easier when you see the questionnaire. Then we have also provided useful links. For example, we have given the link for the cost survey guide. Then we have also, under the FAQ, contacts and FAQs, we have given this FAQ file. This is a living document. You can really list your questions there and also read some of the questions that already answered there. And also information regarding the helping person, led I myself and Alan here. So if we move on, as you can see in the questionnaire, how we have organized the questionnaire, we do have a general information section, but in this section, first, you need to decide whether you are responding on behalf of site or platform. Why does it so? Because the questionnaire is organized a little bit in different ways. So the questions a little bit vary. So for example, if you select sites, the main difference is that at the end of the questionnaire, you will have a section where you need to upload the results that will be downloading from the SO cost application. So the platform guys, they will not see this section. So only the site owners, the site PIs will see that you need to upload the Excel table that you will be downloading from the SO cost application. Otherwise, the information is almost same. However, as you can see here, there's a little bit more information. For example, some of the questions we have given the red star marks, that is a mandatory question. So without filling up these questions, you cannot proceed. So you must really answer these questions. For example, country, we have a drop-down menu. You can select your country. Responsible organization, you must type in. Then we have site habitat. There's a drop-down menu here. Then categories, of course, you have to decide if you are like a site owner, whether your site belong to category 1 or 2. But here actually it's not mandatory for the focus sphere, but you can hover your mouse so you can see more information actually with the question marks. So it's a default is not applicable, but of course you can decide, because if you are deciding category 2, then actually you don't need to answer this question, because then you are not focusing any sphere. But if you are the site owner of category 1, I think you need to answer here. It's a must answering question. You have to decide, maybe you are focusing more on atmosphere or biosphere or geosphere. Then if your site belongs to a platform, it's a mandatory question. You have to select yes or no. Then if yes, then please provide the platform name, DIMES ID. And then here, for example, if your site is co-located, for example, in Finland, we have a site called Huitila. We are co-locating with ICOS, eLTER, maybe ANAE, and also Actris, perhaps. And then finally, actually, you can also provide your name and email. That's also a mandatory question. But if you have any additional comments, there is a note box. So we have 300 characters limit. You can type in whatever you want. So if we move on, so now actually we are talking about this cost for the implementation phase. That is the total overall value over 5 years. So we are starting actually from the year 2024 to 2028. 2028. So 2024, actually, we are talking about mainly, we have also mentioned clearly in the cost survey guide. So whatever you put in the rows under the 2024 cost, that is actually the capital value we'll be considering. But in any case, if you don't have precise estimates for the rest of the years, year 2025 to 2028, so then maybe actually you can take a total, you can put them the total value in this column like 2024. So we'll be considering as a capital value. Otherwise, actually, I would kindly request you please read the instructions. So we have said that please always use the decimal points, for example, maximum 2 decimal points. Don't use the comma, please use the dots. So this is the general guideline. So please read it carefully. So I'm not going to read it from here. So under this implementation phase, implementation cost, we have 6 sections. As you can see, building and construction. So you have to hover your, the bar from left to right, so you can really see the other columns here. And there is the estimation method, the last column. Actually here, perhaps we have a character limits. Unfortunately, I cannot give it more. For example, if you are selecting market price and vendor codes, it will not accommodate the whole sentence, but rather you can just give a code here, like acronym here, MP and VQ. But for other cases, analysis, historical data, that will accommodate. So it's no problem with that. If you scroll on, actually, you see we have 6 sections. Perhaps I don't need to go all of them. They are pretty much similar, how you respond that. And the main thing is that once you are reporting the cost, please use the dot, don't use the comma. Otherwise, we will have many Excel files at the end of the day after the responses coming out to maybe. So we need to clean the files. So it's a really clumsy and it's a lot of work. So I kindly request you read the instruction and do that what I requested. Then we have also, again, here is a text box. So 300 characters limit. You can also provide additional information. Then if we move on to the operational cost, is the average annual value. So for example, let's say if we get the mandate from the commission for eLTER, for example, in the beginning 20 years. So you can think about, okay, we are running for 20 years. So it's the average annual value here. The description of this operation cost, they're pretty much same as the ever, but here actually, I think it's they can fit in the one screen. You don't need to hover or you don't need to drag the bar right from left to right. That's why you don't see it. So we have only few questions here. And if you move on to the decommissioning cost, so they are also pretty much same. Maybe I don't need to read again here. Pretty much same kind of instruction, and you can follow the sections that I requested. But as I said here, if you are the site owner, the site PIs, now you can see here, we have a special section here, SO, standard observation cost estimation. So before you are here, actually, we need to deal with the SO cost application. And from there, actually, once you respond to the cost application, you have to download the Excel file. Only the Excel file, actually, you can upload here. So there is a restriction. You cannot upload a PDF file, only the Excel file. So after downloading the Excel file from the SO cost application, you can actually upload it here. And you can also add some comments. I also informed Alan that, that you have to give the name, your site name as it is provided in the DAME-SORG. So Alan has provided a nice option that actually it comes automatically. So you can while you'll be downloading the Excel file, so your site name will be embedded automatically with the Excel file. That's I understood from Alan. So no worries with that. But if not, please also write the name as it is in the DAME-SORG. So then actually you have the privilege. Actually, you can partially submit the questionnaire. And you can come back, actually, let's say at the later stage. So if you provide the email in the beginning, so you will get a link in your email in that. So you can, using that email, you can come back to finalize your responses. Just one more time, if I go back to the beginning. So now, for example, let's say you are not the site owner, but you are the platform owner. Then what is the difference? So if you select the platform here, as you see, the general information section have changed. There's a less information and something is new. So what is new here? For example, LTSR platform must contain at least one eLTER site, category 1 or category 2. So if you have category 1 site, then please provide the site name with the DIMES ID. If you have site 2, then also provide site 2 name and DIMES ID. And similarly, if you have number 3. And then the name and email is same. So implementation cost, there is no change. It's pretty much same. But there's only one change under the operational cost for the platform guys, where it is. So the difference is here. So we have only one section. It's called platform operation, personnel for socio-ecological standard observations. So that is the difference with the site and platform. So if you select the platform, this section is additional here. Then the decommissioning cost is same. And as I mentioned here, so if you are the platform owner, you don't see the section where you need to upload the Excel file. So it is pretty much easy. So you don't need to worry about that. Again, you have a partial submission option. You can submit in the beginning, and then later you can come back to finalize the file. So with this, actually, I'm ending my presentation, and I'm very happy to answer your question, and I will hand over to you, Anna. Thank you very much.
So can you see my screen now?
We see it, but not yet in presentation.
Okay. So I hope you can see now in presentation mode.
Yes, now it's good.
Yes. So I will present you a brief introduction to the eLTER SO cost application that we are developing. The team in the University of Helsinki and also Stefan Zacharias in the UFSET are working on this. And what it is basically a tool, a web application that is intended to help site managers to assess the costs of upgrading and operating their eLTER site, where and how this tool can be used. So it's accessible by any web browser and requires previous knowledge on eLTER materials that are linked into the FAQ session. And the guide is provided in the app itself, plus this webinar, so you can understand how this tool must work. So regarding the accuracy of the estimations, this is an important point. It can change due to the decisions of the eLTER community. It is like a living thing, so it is expected to be changed in the future based on the decisions of the community. It does not include so far the human labor cost, so salaries for the personnel that are needed to run the site. And please do not expect that to be 100% accurate, because this is just an idea to give an estimation of the costs. And we are working somehow with an acceptable error margin of around 30%. So this is just our estimate that is acceptable. Of course, if you find something that is not correct, you can also reach out to us and we can take a look on it. So the web application is structured in 3 different tabs. The first tab, there is some information and guidance on how to use the tool. There is the setup tab where where you're gonna fill up the conditions of your site. And finally, you have the SO cost tab where you can see the results. So going to the info tab. So this is the landing page where you access the tool. So here you have some information. These are the tabs on the top, you can see here. And then you have the introduction text that is like just briefly explaining and introducing what it is. And then here there are some instructions of features of this tool. You can read that to make more use of this tool. And here there is a FAQ with a link to the document where you can find some more information. And this is the document that is so far stored there, and it is public. You can view, but you cannot edit. So this is just for your information. Here there is also the source code. So if you are interested to take a look how this was developed in terms of coding and the logic used in that, you can access the information on GitHub page. And this is currently the GitHub page. And you can find there some also more information regarding the tool and the repository itself. And now going to the setup page, you need to click on this tab on the top, and then you're gonna move to this other page. And then in this page, you have the place where you select the category of your eLTER site. So it's either 1 or 2, and you're gonna click on it, and then the conditions will be set for your calculations. And then you select your site habitat, and then you can see there is a drop-down menu. You just select the one that is related to your conditions, and you can see that there is sometimes this pop-up balloon that can give you some more guidance on how to interpret that a specific selection box. And then if you select the category 1, you need to select the focus spheres, and then you can just go to this drop-down menu again and select 2 different spheres. And note that there is the information on social sphere is not included in the application so far, and you will not see it here. Besides that, you can have an option to deselect some specific standard observations from your calculations because they might be covered by another source. And then you have this pop-up box where you have the option to select all or deselect all, and then you can also individually click on those. And in this case here, I am showing that I deselect 3 standard observations, and once this is done, the table is automatically updated, removing those standard observations from your site. And then you just need the box again to minimize the selection box, and you have the option to download this table that you see on the right-hand side. And this is just a table containing the list of standard observations used for the calculations of your costs. Okay. And then moving to the third tab, which is the tab where you have the results calculated. Then you can see here different parts in these blue boxes. So in the first one, you see that this will print the parameters that you selected in the previous page. So if you are in doubt what you select, you can just come here. You don't need to change the tabs. You can see exactly what you select. And here on the right-hand top side, you see a summary of your estimated costs and the annual cost and the implementation cost and the labor cost. It's not a cost, but the number of person days per year needed to upgrade and operate in this eLTER site. And please note that there is also explanation of the information that is provided here in the notes in the app itself. I encourage you all to read through this, and if you have doubt, some of your questions might be answered by those features. And then below you have this upgrading operating eLTER site detail costs. So this is a table that prints out your results. And again, there is some text explaining what this table is, and also some notes regarding some questions that you might have. They are directly explained here. So, for instance, one of the things that is written there, and these orange bars on the columns are just to help you to see the contribution of that standard observation, the overall costs in that category. So the categories are here on the top, and then you have these bars representing, okay, in this replacement cost and equipment, this standard observation is the one that is taking most of the costs. So you have an idea here in all of the variables listed on the top, and they are ordered based on the overall costs. So the total cost per year. So they are ordered in this way. And you also have the information on person days here. And after you have this total values displayed below. And these values are here, and you can use these, but they are also provided in just brief summary in the top box that I showed before. And here comes the part where Said was mentioned, that you can get the site name from DIMES. So there is a link on the app itself. So if you click in this link, you're gonna come to this page, and then you need to go to the search box here on the top. And in this search box, you search for your eLTER site, and from that you're gonna see an information of your site name. In this case here, shown is the UTLSMR 2 LTER, and then you copy this site name as shown here, do not change, and then paste this here in this box. And once you do this, you can download the table, and then you're gonna have the table with the name of your eLTER site directly printed there alongside with the date that you filled this out. So please do not change the name of the file, because this will be used, as Said was mentioned, to compile the information later on. And this table will have 3 tabs as well. The first tab will print the information that you select, so we can have later a checkup if something is missing, and also prints out the standard observations that you deselect. In this case, as I shown before, I deselect 3 standard observations. So these 3 standard observations are printed here, so I know that your cost did not include those, and you can also check for yourself. And if you did not deselect any of them, this tab will be there but will be empty, don't worry. And then later you have the same information that you have on the cost tables printed here as it is, with the SO short name, the method type, and the informations that you have on the table. And besides that, you also have some quick insights for data visualization that is calculated automatically based on your options. So you have a look on how many variables you need, standard observations you need to collect, the working hours per spheres, and the annual cost breakdown by type, and the annual cost breakdown by sphere, all this information. And then you can download directly these figures if you are interested to use it. So here is the QR code for the app, and you have the link here as well. And yeah, that's it. And I can maybe briefly just show you the app live, just for you to see that this is exactly what I did there. Here's the tab. You have the 3 options, and you can play around with this. And one important thing that I want to show, you can come to the GitHub page, where I have also put a lot of information that can be complementary to the information that you have there before, and how to use. There's some, if you want to provide some feedback, you can click here on .github, and you can report a bug, and there is some instructions on that. You can also provide some feature request here directly, and there is a code of conduct, and you can also contribute to the repository directly if you want. There are some instructions here on how you can do that. And if you are more comfortable, you can just reach me out by email, or the team. Our emails and our kits are all here. You can reach us out, and we can try to help you. Okay, I think that is all from my side.
Thanks a lot, Alan.